What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Backcourt Combo Podcast with your host, Beezy.
D-Mo.
Baby.
Good.
All right, so today we're going to hit on a lot of the NBA. Talk a little bit about the finals that just occurred with the Mavericks Celtics. Transition over to the J.J. Redick hire with the Los Angeles Lakers. Talk a little bit about LeBron, and then hit on some super teams and things of that nature.
We're ready to get to it.
All right, so here we go. Mavs versus Celtics, Demo. What were your thoughts on that series?
Honestly, for me, it's a little boring. Like, you watch the first couple games and you see, like, the Celtics just came out and went after them. Kyrie was it game 2 when he went off?
Game 3.
Game 3. But the first 2 were just slow for them. They couldn't get anything offensively, and defensively just couldn't get stops. Jaylen Brown played really well. Jrue Holiday played really well. Jason Tatum was up and down, but, I mean, what was the stat? Like, the whole playoffs, he was leading in every single, like, statistic, but the finals was kind of slow for him.
For the Celtics, he led every statistic for them, and then in the playoffs, Luka led every statistic for the entirety of the playoffs, like every team. So
that's crazy. But personally, I just think it's a little boring. I'm kind of upset that they didn't want to win it in 4. You can see, like, Jrue Holiday is not really, if you watch him, especially throughout the playoffs, he wasn't taking pull-up threes in transition, just transition pull-up threes. But game 4, everybody who wasn't doing what they usually do were doing the random things that they've never usually done in games. And I think that kind of just was like, for me.
100%.
So
I was pretty bored with it, honestly. It was very disappointing, but I just think when you get to the NBA, it's all about matchups, right? And I don't think the Mavericks matched up well with the Celtics, especially when they had Porzingis healthy. Just very, very boring series. I just don't understand how the Mavericks couldn't make an adjustment. Like,
not one. Even when Porzingis went out.
Yeah, they played a lot of one-on-one against the best defensive team in the last, 10 years. And it just didn't pay off. Yeah, it was very, very boring. I would have loved to have seen the Nuggets beat the Timberwolves, and then the Nuggets beat the Mavs, and then the Nuggets played.
I don't know. I love Anthony Edwards. I love his game. That's the thing. I love seeing him beat them. It's weird because in the NBA, or at least this season, nobody wanted the Nuggets to win that. I mean, everybody loved Anthony Davis throughout social media. Like, you see, Anthony Davis was popular, especially this whole season, just because of his personality. He is that outgoing.
Anthony Davis or Anthony Edwards?
Anthony Edwards, dang. But
come on, Demo.
Yeah, Anthony Edwards has that outgoing personality. I mean, you just can't dislike that dude. You know what I mean? So
You think he's the face of the NBA now?
For me, you know me, I'm a big Bron fan. So it's always gonna be Bron for me. But
that ship has sailed.
I don't know, man. He still got it.
Face of the league?
For me personally, that's my goal. But I think Anthony Edwards is making it there. I think just his play and his popularity so far right now is making him get a little bit of a face of the NBA type.
I agree with you. All right, so moving on from the Mavs Celtics as teams, what about Luka? So early criticisms on Luka is that his negatives outweigh his positives. He is the Carmelo of our generation. So just a scorer. Carmelo never won a championship. Complains too much to the refs and only plays on the offensive side of the ball. What are your takes on the early criticisms, and do you think it's fair?
I think some of them are true. I think he hasn't played defense unless he needs to. You know what I mean? Like, you watch it in games, like, he's going off offensively. His offensive game, like, he passes really well. He scores really well. He can play. He's 3 levels. But defensively, you just don't see that, aggressiveness and that tenacity that he has offensively. So I think the biggest thing for him is, figuring out – he picks his spots, though, defensively. You can see he sits a little bit when he tries. But low-key, I would say that he's a little – I don't know. I wouldn't say versatile than Carmelo, but they play 2 different types of ball.
Completely different. I saw an ESPN host compare them, and I just thought it was just absolutely awful comparison. Carmelo didn't pass. Carmelo didn't rebound like Luka. Carmelo didn't lead like Luka. Wasn't as ball dominant. I thought that comparison was terrible. But for me, it's like, yes, the criticisms, some of them are true. But like you said, you've seen so much growth of Luka from his 23 when he was 23 years old to 25. Like, he was sitting a little bit, like when it mattered in the playoffs and in the finals. But now it's like, is he going to take this offseason to get his body 100%, get to where he can play deep into the finals? But yeah, for him, it's just not taking plays off. Like, if you watch the Celtics, like, their stars were playing defense every single possession. So that's the biggest thing for him. But I think the criticisms are a little crazy, a little early. Here's a little statistic that I found. So Luka Doncic made the finals this year at 25 years old. Now, he didn't win it, but he made the finals at 25. Michael Jordan didn't win his first final until he was 28. LeBron didn't win his first final until he was 27. And Shaq didn't win his first final until he was 28. So 3 years before them, makes the finals, doesn't win it. I mean, the criticisms are a little crazy. Like, give the man some props. Made the finals with, I'm sorry, but that team was terrible.
I'd say they had a lot of role players that did their job.
Yeah, but
I don't know. You have Kyrie, but they only have two big names. You know what I mean? I know we'll talk about super teams later, but they only have two big names that everybody talks about. You know, they have a couple role players. Like, I love their rookie that they had. Was it Derek Lively? Like, he played really well all season. PJ Washington was up and down, especially in the finals, but everybody else was like, there's ebbs and flows with their whole team, especially in the finals.
Jones Jr., what was it? Washington, was it, Gafford. They had a lot of role players, a lot of, like, obviously these guys in the NBA are great, right? But, man, they didn't have any shooting. They didn't have any playmaking. But it's hard, though, when you're a GM of that team, because it's like, you can't go find too many playmakers because Luka has the ball in his hands 90% of the game, and if he doesn't have it, Kyrie does. So I wish that they would go out and find some more shooters, because if you can space the floor, that's what was brutal for them. I mean, I don't know what they shot from three other than Luka and Kyrie, and they shot terrible. But yeah, it was a rough series to watch, but criticisms on Luka is kind of crazy. But I mean, the media gets paid to make hot takes.
For sure. Get some clicks, you know what I mean?
So, all right, let's move on to Jrue Holiday. So, in my opinion, that was my finals MVP. I think it was a toss-up between Tatum and Brown, but Jrue Holiday really held it down for him on both sides of the ball. He was their best defender in every game, and a lot of people don't see that. A lot of people don't notice it, but he was great on defense, and then offensively, I forget which game it was. I think it might have been game 2. He had like 25 or something. Played really well offensively. He won with the Bucks, won with the Celtics. He's a winner, and I think great player, and he was my finals MVP.
Yeah, I love Jrue Holiday. Like, I love watching him. I've watched so much film on him because his role is really my role for the team. Like, he scores, don't get me wrong, but he's really in there to lock down the best player, lock down the best guard, and he's just a different animal when it comes to defense. If you watch his angles, how he gets through screens, his hands are where they are, and how he pushes up against the offender when he's getting through screens. Just every little detail defensively, you just see it in how he plays. Like, he does the right thing. He's in the right spots. He's doing everything right defensively, and it makes it so much easier for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to do their thing offensively, because he's locking down, and he just has so much trust. You have so much trust in him defensively and how they play. So I think the biggest thing is he was, like you said, he's just like the foundation for them, like somebody that they can just hold on to and say, hey, we're going to get a stop. He's going to get a stop. Like, he's just in every single play defensively, and he's just a pest. So I love watching him play. Like, I've watched so much film, like I said before, and kind of if you want to get better at defense, you just watch how he plays. Watch his feet. Watch his hands. Watch how like the position that he's in during every play. It's just everything about his defensive play is like so solid and fundamentally sound. So that's what I have to say about him. He's just a different beast when it comes to defense. So
The crazy thing is like with him, he's so big and strong. He can guard 1 through 4. Yeah. So if your best player is the 1, he can guard you. Best player's 3, 4. He can.
Yeah, I was watching these clips. So just going through his film, I was watching these clips, and when he got switched on the bigs, it's like they're going nowhere. They're not moving, and he's getting steals, off them too, because they're not going anywhere. It's just back taps, stuff like that, like little things like that where he's walling up on bigger players and forwards and wings just that are bigger than him. He's not giving any ground. So just things like that make him such a good piece for them. Like I saw something online. It was just like, did getting Jrue Holiday win them a championship? And I think for sure, like that was the biggest piece that they needed. That I know Marcus Smart was a defender, but I don't know. He's not Jrue Holiday in this situation. So I think he was something that put them over for sure.
Yeah, I saw a video online. I don't know if it's true, but I saw that Jrue Holiday will go into the gym in the off season for like an hour, and he'll just play people in ones, but he'll only guard them. He'll play ones just on defense. So like if he gets a stop, it's 1. If someone scores on him, it's 1. So he just guards. And like that's one thing I'm wanting to do when I get back healthy is start playing guys in ones and just like working on my defense and stuff, because that's pretty cool. That's a huge sacrifice because everybody wants to score. Everyone wants to be on the highlight tapes, but that wins championship.
You only got to stay on the defensive side, though.
Might get bored and we play offense a little bit. All right, moving on from these guys. The LA Lakers just hired JJ Redick. JJ Redick played at Duke University, played in the NBA for quite some time. Great shooter, great player. But he has not had a coaching job at any level, not at the high school level, college level, or NBA level. Him and LeBron James recently started a podcast. How long would you say that was?
I think about a month and a half ago, after LeBron got out of the finals or got out of the playoffs.
So there were speculations that if the Lakers coach got fired, it might be JJ Redick. So he's hired now. They went after, who was it? Dan Hurley. That would have been a great hire, but
I think Dan Hurley's coaching, like how he coaches, for sure, I think he's a great coach. I think everything he would do would translate to the NBA. I just think he would have to change a little bit for the NBA. You know what I mean? Like they practice too much for too long to be able to play in those 82 games. So I think there'd be a lot of change that he would have to go through. So
yeah, it definitely would have been like the transition from a high school coach to coaching college is tough, and then from college to the NBA is just that much harder. So hired JJ Redick. So what's your take on hiring a guy who has not coached at any level and is now taking over probably the biggest and best organization in the league?
You have to have mixed feelings about this, right? Like on one hand, he hasn't had any coaching experience, but on the other hand, he knows the ins and outs of the league. He's been in the league. He's commentated over the league. He's been watching the league ever since he's even been out of the league. So he knows ball. Like you gotta say he knows his stuff. But coaching is a whole different like thing. So he can't be. I don't know if he can be buddy with all the players. Like maybe Bron, but like I don't think he can be buddy with all the players because you're still the coach. You gotta give out playing time. You gotta talk them through these things. Players got attitudes, you know what I mean? Like especially in the NBA, like entitlement is still a real thing. And them being on the team, and I know if you watch his podcast, he doesn't take any like BS, I'd say, or bull crap in any way. So I think it's just like a thing that is going to be something that he has to change. Like, I don't know. I think it's going to be hard dealing with a lot of the personalities, but I think all in all, he knows his stuff. So it's whether they're going to listen. So I don't know how the locker rooms. We can't see inside the locker rooms, but we know that LeBron has had a lot of coaches in and out of them locker rooms. So, but
is it going to be the LeBron effect here?
I don't think so. I think they're like I saw something online and I really agree with it. I don't think LeBron's going to let him fail. I don't think LeBron's going to let him get ran out of there or have a bad season where he just gets let go immediately. So I think it's going to be a lot different from then, like, just letting him go or him having a bad season and then being like, yeah, he's done. So I think
JJ's got a 50. It's 50-50, right? He's got a 50% chance of doing something great. He's got a 50% chance of being. I mean, what have the Lakers been the last 3-4 years? Nothing.
subpar.
They had no one took them no one took them serious in the playoffs. Like they got bounced the last 4 years,
First round.
or 3 years in the first round. I mean,
They won that one championship.
yeah, in the bubble. I think he's got a 50-50 chance. Like he knows his stuff, he knows his X's and O's, but you also thought 2-time MVP Steve Nash would have done something with the Brooklyn Nets, and he was fired in a year.
Yeah. So it's really a toss up. I think we'll find out early on in the season if you can't even say that though, because early season
Trade deadline.
Yeah, so I don't know. And LeBron always makes those moves in the trade
They
deadline.
had about to make some moves. Like that team is not winning.
Who do you think they need to get rid of? Or who do you think they need? That's the biggest thing. Who do you think they need?
Get rid of Braun.
Getting rid of Bron is crazy.
Get rid of Braun and rebuild.
I don't know. I'm
50 years old.
a Bron fan though. Like I watch wherever Bron's playing, but I think it's really hard to get rid of Bron. He brings so much stuff to the whole community of LA. You know what I mean? Like him playing there.
On a real note, I'd get rid of Anthony Davis, and I would trade for shooters around Braun. I would trade him and D'Angelo Russell. Anthony Davis, D'Angelo Russell, get shooters, get a great point guard, and try to do something.
Who's playing the five?
Go get Clint Capella.
You think Clint?
Who the Celtics just started Al Horford.
That's true. That's true.
The Mavericks had a rookie and
Gafford, yeah, they were. Maxi Cleaver played minutes.
I don't think they need a dominant fight. And Anthony Davis is so hit or miss. He's hurt. He's not hurt. He has 30. He has 10.
Depending on how he's feeling, right?
Yeah, I would get rid of him. But they do have a draft pick, and that's the next thing I want to talk about. Bronny James, what's his draft stock? What do you think? Is he getting drafted? Is he not getting drafted?
So I've always had this conversation. Like, even if he's quote unquote, like you could say he's not good enough or he didn't show enough in college to be able to be drafted. But you gotta think about who his dad is. Not just saying in like the sway that he has, but like he has unlimited like resources to do what he wants to do in the league. Like unlimited trainers, unlimited like nutrition, all that different stuff that maybe some people going into the thing. I mean, with NIL now it's a little different. Everybody has an equal level playing field when it comes to like finance. But
He's got his road paved.
Yeah. And it's just a little like you see that and you can see all the stuff that comes with that. And I think honestly, he could play. He could play be in the league and have a part of a team like I wouldn't say a Peyton Pritchard role, like, but I don't think he's definitely not gonna be his dad. You know what I mean? But I think he's gonna have a place in the league somewhere.
Yep.
And I think he will get picked if it's first round. I can't agree with that, but I think he will get picked. He could get picked.
Yeah. I think he'll get picked, obviously, off of his last name, 1. 2, I've heard this, and I completely agree with this when people say that some kids or some players will pan out better in the league than they did in college, which is 100% true because in college, like, ask any NBA player, like, that has played in college. It's harder to score. It's harder to do the workload in college than it is in the league. In the league, there's so much floor spacing. 3-and-D, like it's hard in college to be a 3-and-D guy, but in the league when you've got Luka Doncic with the ball and you can just go sit in the corner and make a 3 and then go guard, like I think that's where he'll find his niche is being a 3-and-D guy. But he's undersized. He's 6'1.5".
They had him playing, and I think at the combine, if I see it solid career. They had him playing point.
But he's gonna have to.
Think like I know like size wise, that's like where he's gonna find his niche, but I think it's kind of he's more of a shooter playing off the ball to me personally. Like skill wise, I think so.
He's gonna have to be. Yeah, I don't think he's a good enough ball handler. He does. He has good vision, good decision making, but playing the one in the league that's tough.
It's hard. It's hard.
Do you think the Lakers will draft him?
Like I said, if they take their first round draft pick and pick him, I don't agree with that.
They won't.
But I was talking about that earlier. I saw something online which I thought was hilarious. Boston Celtics picking him and holding him hostage
I'm picking him.
because they don't need anybody.
If I'm the Detroit Pistons, I'm taking him because Bron's gonna be in Detroit in a week.
Wherever Bronny go, I think he'll go. But I don't know how that's going to work. But they said something about holding him hostage. They don't need anybody, so holding him hostage and just getting some trade value out of him, which is crazy.
Could happen. But that's the thing, though. If Bronny gets drafted by somebody else and LeBron wants to play with him, are the Lakers with a new head coach going to try to move people to get him? Or would LeBron leave his new friend, JJ, the new head coach?
New friend is crazy.
I mean, new podcast host, new buddy. Would he leave him to go to the team Bronny's on?
I genuinely think it's a thing. Like, I think that could happen. Honestly,
very well.
It's an option. Do you think
Bronny wants to play with him though?
No, I don't.
I think that's really one-sided.
No, my thing is, though, if he doesn't want to play with him, you're not getting drafted.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Because that's the only way it's going to happen. And I think it's one side. I think Bronny doesn't want to sit under his dad's shadow for, the whole time he's in the league?
I would sit directly under his shadow for as long as I lived.
Listen, I get it. Being in the league and everything, that's like our dream. Like, playing in the league.
I would sit there and count daddy's money.
That's wild.
Underneath his shadow. Are you kidding me? I agree. I would agree with him when he says I don't want to be in my dad's shadow or I want to make my own name. If you were like Michael Porter coming out of high school, or you were R.J. Barrett coming out of high school, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. If you were so like
on him, like he could be a great player. I don't know. I don't watch him enough, but it's a tough subject, tough topic.
Plus, but this is a down year when it comes to drafts, though. Like everybody's saying that this year is one of the worst drafts they've seen in a minute, and I think it's really hard to even know who's going number one. Like they had Reed Shepard up there at one point. They had a couple people from overseas up there at one point. They even have the dude from UConn. What's his name? The big, the lengthy.
It's not Castle, is it?
No. He's going top 10 though. I think is that the other guard from the one that played defense. Yeah, so he's up there too. He's like top 10. He's lottery, but yeah,
it's tough, man. I wish the best for him. Hope it all goes great, but that's just a tough topic, especially for Bronny, because it's like I can't imagine the hate and stuff he takes, or you ride your dad's coattails, and that probably bothers him. But I'd be like, yep,
I'm in the league.
I am holding on for dear life, and I love it. All right, will LeBron win another championship? The answer is no.
I'm biased, though.
0.
I'm biased. We have this conversation all the time. I think he's about to win 2 more. And then there's no debate at that point, I would say. If he wins 2 more, there's no way there's a debate. That's just me, though.
You think he's going to play for 2 more years?
Yes, 100%. I don't know. He's not slowing down. Like, he's slowing down. Don't get me wrong. He's slowing down. He's not getting up as high on his dunks, all that stuff. He's getting less athletic, quote unquote, but he's still a freak. Like, he's still a athletic monster. But he is getting old. I'll say that.
I don't think, unless the Lakers do some magic move here and get some players, I don't see that team ever winning it. Unless if he goes and teams up with the Thunder, he could get one. But if he's not willing to leave, I don't think they could build a team good enough.
I don't know. I think you got to put some more people around him. Like you said, like, I don't think they have the pieces right now. And I don't think they'll ever be able to get the pieces without the money.
West next year.
Yeah, oof.
Thunder. Mhm.
The West is cold. I mean, I know talk about it a little bit later, but like the Celtics low-key ran through the East. Like there's nobody in the East. Like what happened with Giannis and Damian Lillard?
The Pacers were in the Eastern Conference Final.
The Pacers.
I love the Pacers, but come on. I mean, it's the Pacers.
Yeah,
And they almost had it. They had game 1 and game 2, and
so they were the only team that gave them even like a speck of competition.
how in the NBA it's all about matchups. Like if you match up, you might be the better team, but if you match up wrong against one team, you could lose for sure. All right. So is the NBA super teams over? Building the super teams, is it over? So here are some few stats. So the last 3 champions in 2024, you have the Celtics. They drafted Jason Tatum, their best player, Jaylen Brown, their second best player, and Peyton Pritchard won a championship. In 2023, the Nuggets were the NBA champions. They won the championship, and with these players who they drafted, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., and Christian Brown. The Warriors in 2022 won a championship against the Celtics. They drafted Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Jonathan Kuminga, Kevon Looney, who were all a part of the draft classes before. So we're seeing this trend, and I know JJ Redick talked about it on his podcast of building off of draft picks, right? We see that the Thunder have done that recently. They were the 1 seed. Were they the 1 seed?
I think they were the 1 seed. Yeah, they were 1 seed, but they got out. They got out early.
Yeah, they were the 1 seed. Great team, but they built their team off of draft picks. They still have so many draft picks left, which they could use to trade.
They did trade. You see that? You see that for Alex Caruso. So I think that's a great pickup for them, by the way.
Great pickup. Then you see it with the T-Wolves, and then obviously the Celtics. So my question to you is, are the super teams over?
I think money-wise, super teams are amazing. No, like for financial gain for any organization, I think super teams are great. But like you're saying, like what was that the past couple championships? Yeah, past 3 have been won by teams that
And don't get me wrong, they still trade for pieces, but like their core guys are like the Nuggets, Jokic, Murray, Porter. Like those are their 3 main guys. So it's like if you take a look at like the Nets in 2019, they traded and their super team, quote unquote, was Kevin Durant, Kyrie, and James Harden. Obviously, injuries played a big part in it. They lost, didn't even really make any noise at all. The Suns this past year in 2023, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, what'd they make it?
shoot, I don't even know.
Didn't make it any noise.
I think towards the question of the super teams, I think it's because teams are drafting based on what they need and what would best fit in there. The trades, sometimes they're looking for what's best, but sometimes they're looking for like the best player, just in general. Like, you see the Damian Lillard, they didn't really need him. They didn't really need him. They had Drew Holiday, like in that piece, so they didn't really need Damian Lillard, in a way, because they
Trade Chris Middleton. Go get a dominant like a Pascal Siakam.
because he had an amazing postseason.
That would be a great fit for their team, or or go get a Bradley Beal. But like trading a 2-way player like Drew Holiday, who just won you a championship and is a great player, for a great offensive player, like, and then to round it out, you have the Clippers this year who had Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Russell Westbrook, James Harden.
Yeah, you see those super teams, or when they try to build those super teams, like, what have they done? They've never played together. Somebody's always hurt. They're never together. They're always on load management, and it's just like you have all those stars, and every time you have all those stars, it's just like one's not playing because, as I said, they're stars. They need that load management. They're all getting, cool. I wouldn't say old, but they're getting there. I mean, they're getting there. So it's kind of tough to see. Like, you put all this money into those like players to get them over here. Either it's trades or just free agency, and it's all falling through.
So for me, the first super team that I guess LeBron in Miami, they won. But the one that really stuck with me was the Warriors when they got Kevin Durant. But if you think about it, that super team was Steph Curry drafted by the Warriors, Klay Thompson drafted by the Warriors, Draymond Green drafted by the Warriors. Then
Was that Zaza Pachulia?
it might have been, and I don't know if he was drafted by them, but I mean, shoot, you could have thrown me at the 5 on that team. And
They ended up getting DeMarcus Cousins too, right? Was that might have been that year too?
yeah, but then they get Kevin Durant. So you've got like 3 or 4 guys who have all played together for many years, and then you add a piece where they needed like
That wing player.
and it fit perfect. And you know, Kevin Durant's a basketball junkie. So is Curry. So is Klay, and they're all bright basketball minds. So they knew how to give. They knew there was one rock, right? They knew how to give it up. So that was like a perfect super team. But it's because they traded for what they
needed. Yeah, that's a perfect example of that.
teams are trading. Like Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, they both play the same position. Russell Westbrook and James Harden play the same position.
I think it's those LA teams. They trade for what's gonna make them the most money. And that's what it looks like.
Devin Booker, KD, Bradley Beal, I watched them play last year, and it was one-on-one. KD would try to go get a bucket, then it'd be Devin Booker's turn, then it'd be Bradley Beal's turn. Didn't work, and then obviously the other one blew up in flames, KD, Kyrie, and Harden. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of off the super teams now. I don't think it's
Kind of rough.
yeah, I don't think it's going to be it. But then you could argue that the Celtics are a super team, but I don't really.
I think that's another example of them trading for what they need. You know what I mean? So I mean, Marcus Smart just wasn't cutting it for him. Like, I think Jaylen Brown made a huge leap this year, like higher than he has like the previous years. Like, he played well. He's been a solid piece for him. I think this year is just another level for all of them. And I think, like I said, that addition to Drew Holiday kind of just pushed it over the edge. So I wouldn't say they're a super team, but at the same time, like, low key, they're getting there.
But like, are they beating the Warriors with Steph, Klay, Kevin Durant?
They went 72 and what? 72 and 8? Or 78, 30?
No, that was the year. That was the year before KD got there, because then that's when Bron came back when he was down.
Oh yeah. So yeah, no.
I don't. They're losing in 4.
You think so?
Losing in 4. Yeah,
I don't know. I want to see that. We have to play that on 2K.
for real.
We have to play that on 2K.
Middle of 2 pad.
Yeah.
No, I don't think they're a super team. I just think they traded for the pieces they needed. Shout out Brad Stevens,
Yeah, he's doing his job over there.
Butler guy. Yeah, he did a great job because they've got 4 guys who can guard. They can space the floor, drive, kick, play on offense. I mean, I wouldn't say that they're a quote unquote, because like Derek White, like, he's not Kevin Durant, right? And Drew Holiday's not Steph Curry, Damian Lillard. They're just all really, really good players that fit well together. So yeah, I think the super teams will always be around because teams will be desperate and trying to trade for the big names. But I don't know. I'm starting to think that drafting guys and building a team and then trading for the pieces is the best.
For sure. So
Awesome. Well, that wraps up episode 2 of the Backcourt Combo. Make sure to like and subscribe.
Sure.
Beezy and Demo out.
There.